Om Mandra Sadhva Samaya Manu Palaya Bandra Sadhva Deno Pai Didra Dedo Me Bhav Soto Kayo Me Bhava Zubu Kayo Me Bhav Anorado Me Bhava Sarva Sede Me Praya Sarva Krama Suza Me Zedan Shreya Kuru Ha 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 ho bhagavan sarvada gata bandrama me monza baranze bhava ma samaya satva. All mother sentient beings, limitless
Lord,
in
my seres
the
indeed,
sky,
great without
especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. O Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent. I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent. I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Bhadra Samaja, Bhadra Samaja, Bhadra Samaja, protectors of all sentient beings without exception, deities who vanquish the ruthless hordes of Maras, knowers of everything as it is. Bhagavans and your retinues, please come here. Argyam Padyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Kende Nevede Shabda Pratitya Soham. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, fall, continent, sun, and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure realm. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. Now please go to the main Fivefold Mahamudra manual that we've been working with. Turn to page 3, or you could just listen as well. Nothing to recite yet. So again, in these instructions, there is an emphasis on placing your body in the most optimal position. This is said to be the position of Vairochana, or the posture of Vairochana, with 7 points. Sit on a comfortable cushion in Vajra posture, with legs crossed. Then straighten your spine. Place both hands in the gesture of meditative equipoise below the navel, holding in the mudra of meditation. Now gaze at the tip of the nose and let your gaze fall in front, down on the floor. Let the tongue lightly touch the upper palate, then leave the teeth and lips in their natural position and let breath flow comfortably. Furthermore, your chin should be tucked in a little so that your head is not hanging up like this, but tuck in your chin. Then your gaze will also naturally go towards the nose and from nose down to the ground. The nose should be in line with your navel. Shoulders are level. Having relaxed the exhalation and inhalation of breath little by little, free from effort, breath exhales and inhales just as it is. Then contemplate the difficulty of obtaining the freedoms and advantages. But now these freedoms and advantages have been obtained. You have all that you need, all that is required for Dharma practice. But yet look at how easily we get distracted, how easily we turn to something else to do. This reason, that reason. Even including reasons like maybe I should be practicing something else. Or maybe more ideally, this should be practiced this way and that way, and then instead of practicing, we have all these ideas about maybe practice can be more ideal if I am somewhere else, doing it with someplace else, someone else, but never quite finding this perfect place, perfect environment, perfect teacher, perfect this, perfect that. This is not recognizing that we have the freedoms, we have the endowments, the advantages, and not seeing the truth of impermanence, that what we have now can be easily gone within a few seconds. Conditions that allow us to practice may quickly go away. Suddenly, our life circumstances, our livelihood may take us away. And without choice, even when we want to practice on a regular basis, that regularity gets taken away. So reflect also on impermanence, how quickly things can change, how quickly these freedoms and advantages may disappear, and ultimately how quickly death may descend, so that we don't really know if tomorrow comes first or next life comes first. As our practice deepens, this truth of impermanence will be understood in an even more profound way, which is the same truth that we call the truth of emptiness, the lack of inherent existence, the momentary nature of all experiences. But now, first we have to see how this momentary nature manifests in our experience in the most direct way, how this uncertainty often affects us. Then contemplate the certainty, on the other hand, of karmic cause and effect. That both happiness and suffering are placed within our two hands. What we choose, those results unfold accordingly. If we choose the causes of happiness, it is happiness that will unfold, that will manifest. If we choose the causes of suffering, then it is suffering that will manifest, suffering that would arise. Gain certainty, gain conviction in the truth of karmic causality, karmic cause and effect. And finally see that as long as we are under the power of confusion, of delusion, and all the other afflictive emotions that arise from that, then the way we are existing is called samsara, which is the cycle of confusion. the cycle of confusion that leads to being dragged around from lifetime to lifetime. Being dragged around from moment to moment, lifetime to lifetime, dragged around by the kleshas, the afflictive emotions. And see clearly the faults of samsara. As long as we are existing under the power of delusion and the other poisons, there can be no true freedom. And this is true for all beings everywhere without exception. From the Sutra of Auspicious Signs, it says, "Who knows if death will come as soon as tomorrow? Therefore one must apply oneself to this on this very day, at this very moment. For with the great Commander, Lord of Death, we do not have a treaty of friendship. We do not have any power to negotiate with the Lord of Death. Do not waste the time that we have." With regards to not wasting the time that we have, there are more consequential ways of wasting time and less consequential way of wasting time. At least work with the more consequential ways of wasting time. And by that I'm not even referring to habits that we could do away with over time. I'm talking about more like occupying your mind, occupying your heart with thinking about this, worrying about that. Wanting to appear this way or that way to this people or those people, measuring whether you have been treated right or wrong, life has been good or bad. All those mathematics of the heart that we're constantly trying to work out. Feeding doubts that undermine our conviction to practice, to learn about the mind, to see clearly how the mind works. Getting distracted. Put all of that aside. Lay all of that aside. We need to have conviction, determination to want to put all of that aside. Practice as if our hair caught on fire. Quick to put out these fires. Put out the fires. Put out the fires. For everything is burning and burning and burning. In the midst of these fires, we can now rely on Guru Vajrasattva's cooling elixir to put out the fires, to cool everything down. With this cascade, with this waterfall of elixir that flows down from the heart of Guru Vajrasattva, from the essence of Guru Vajrasattva, down to us, flushing out, clearing away all negative karma, all burdens, all distractions, all obstacles, all hindrances. Things that are burning and burning can now be cooled down when we take refuge in the three jewels and make a commitment to practice the visualization and the recitation of Bhagavan Vajrasattva. Now on page 6, you can just continue to listen if that's comfortable for you. If you need to look at the words, we are around page 6 now, where it says, "You are the idam." And so don't think of yourself. Don't be so stuck with this idea of I am like this, I am like that. But instead, lay that aside and bravely, confidently think I am the idam. Then above your head on the full moon disk, a hung within a vajra that instantly transforms into Bhagavan Vajrasattva. His exalted body is white like the peak of a snow mountain touched by the rays of the sun. His legs are crossed with his two hands. The right hand holds a vajra at his heart, and the left holds a bell resting on his hip. He is adorned with various jewel ornaments. While it may be helpful, useful to have visual aids such as paintings of Vajrasattva, how Vajrasattva is artistically represented, at the same time don't be too dependent on these artistic renditions of what Vajrasattva looks like. We have to cultivate Guru Vajrasattva as our own. You have to build this, you have to cultivate this, you have to grow this. Instead of looking at other people's Vajrasattva, you should cultivate your own Guru Vajrasattva, now present in the space above you. Gain conviction in the presence of Guru Vajrasattva in the space hovering above your head. At his heart center in the middle of a moon disk is a hung surrounded by the 100-syllable mantra. From this hung, light rays emanate, clearing the obscurations of sentient beings. Streams of elixir are invoked from the hearts of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and these streams of nectar dissolve into the hung that is in the center of Guru Vajrasattva's heart. From there, a stream of elixir descends, flows through Guru Vajrasattva's body, emerging from the tip of his big right toe. The stream enters the crown of your head, and all the collections, all the heaps of misdeeds, obscurations, and transgressions from beginningless samsaric lifetimes are washed away like dirt, as flushed out, cleansed by water, and exit from the lower orifices of your body. Think of all the habitual tendencies that easily lead you to creating the 10 non-virtues. All those are flushed out, all those are cleared. Our fixation on dualistic mind, our confusion regarding how appearances appear and what is the nature of appearances, and those delusions are also cleared. Taking on the form of dark soot, they all leave the body like black burning lava. and being pushed out by the cooling elixir of Guru Vajrasattva. The stream of elixir fills you from below, swirling upwards until your whole body is filled with the elixir of Guru Vajrasattva, bringing coolness, bringing rest, bringing serenity, cooling down all the burning of the five aggregates, cooling down the burning mind, cooling down the burning body. Om Bhadra Sada Samaya Nanubalaya Bhaja Sato Denoba Deda Dedo Membawa Sudokayo Membawa Subokayo Membawa Anurato Membawa Savasede Membaya Jasava Kamasujame Chidam Sriyam Guru Hong Ha Om Bhagavan Samata Dagata Bhajra Mame Muja Bhajra Bhava Maha Samaya Sado A Om Bhadra Sada Samaya Nanubalaya Bhaja Sato Denoba Deda Anurado memo was always in the member just of Kamasu Jamaican Guru Bhagavan Samata. Chidam Sriyam Guru Om Bhagavan Samata. Om Bhajra Sada Samaya Manamala. 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 Anurado memo was in the memo of Kamasu Jamaican Guru Hong Ha Bhagavan Savatagata Besama Mujabesabo Mahasamaya Sato Umbazra Sata Samaya Manubalaya. Vajra Sata Samaya Manubalaya Bazana Derubadida did a memo was the Toga was a Bogaya memo and the memo was a Anura to memo was a memo of Kamasu Jamaican Guru Ha Bhagavan Savatagata. Did a memo was the Toga memo was a Bogaya memo and the memo was a Anurato memo was in the manager of Kamasu Jamaican Guru Hong Ha Bhagavan Savatagata Besama Mujabesabo Mahasamaya Sado A Umbadra Sada Samaya Manubalaya Besama Denabadida was the Besum. Anurato memo was in the manager of Kamasu Jamaican Guru Hong Ha Bhagavan Savatagata Besama Mujabesabo Mahasamaya Sado. And now visualize, imagine your body is completely clear, like the crystal vase in the form of Idam. All those negativities, all the fires that are burning and burning are now cooled down. All the burdens of the body, the burdens of the mind, all put aside, laid aside. Then on page 8, we do the prayer to Guru Vajrasattva. I am ignorant and bewildered. I have transgressed and broken my samayas. O Guru Protector, grant me refuge. The Bhagavan grants his assent. You should then have faith that he responds with, Child of the family, your broken samayas, negativities, and obscurations are cleared. The child of the family is the family of the Buddhas. We are heirs to this family lineage, to the Buddha lineage. Finally, the Bhagavan dissolves into you, becoming inseparable from your own body, speech, and mind. All three dimensions of your being are completely cleared now. Cleared of the negative karma, cleared of the imprints, cleared of all the stains, the hindrances. You then rest in meditative equipoise on the meaning of the union of appearance and emptiness. Then now think that in the space in front of you, in the center sits the Guru in the form of Vajradhara, hands crossed in front of Vajradhara's chest, holding a bell on the right hand and a Vajra on the left. In front of Guru Vajradhara is the hosts of Idam deities, all the Idam deities that you practice, in particular in this context of Heruka, Chakasamvara, and Vajrayogini together in union. To the right of Guru Vajradhara is all the Buddhas of this fortunate eon. Behind is the Dharma jewel in the form of Dharma texts, especially the Perfection of Wisdom texts, such as the Heart Sutra or the Perfection of Wisdom in 25,000 lines, in 10,000 lines, 8,000, so on and so forth. And then the noble Sangha seated to the left of Vajradhara. And they will be the objects that will receive the offerings that we make to them. So this is the accomplishment mandala, the gathering of the objects of refuge, the field of accumulation in the space in front of us. Then we visualize this entire universe with Mount Meru in the center. In front of Mount Meru is the eastern continent, Purva Videha. To the right of Mount Meru is the southern continent, Jambudvipa. To the west is Apparakodaniya, and to the north is Uttarakuru, with the sun and moon mandalas. And adorned with overflowing offerings of the gods and humans, Imagine inconceivable clouds of offerings arising. Like that example in the life and practice of the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, who was able to use the power of his mind to magnify all the offerings that he was making. He had the skillful method of imagining, visualizing every single atom to be a universe, and within that universe resides a Buddha, and that whole universe turns into an ocean of offerings offered to that Buddha. And for as many atoms, as many grains of sands that exist in this world, in each of them is a Buddha land. Within that Buddha land is a Buddha, surrounded by all the offerings that you have conjured, that you have created with your mind. And in each of those atoms, you are there making offerings of entire mandalas. Visualizing this way, we say the words of offering, starting on page 11 or 12, thereabouts. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue. Please accept them. To you, idam deities, and you, noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O gurus, idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. Again, this ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, idam deities and noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. O gurus, idams, and noble three jewels, I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land, and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To you, sublime gurus, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them. To you, idam deities and noble three jewels, I offer my body, possessions, and roots of virtue as an offering. Please accept them, O gurus, idams, and noble three jewels. I pray that you generate supreme realization within me. Quoting the mother of the victorious ones, the Prajnaparamita Sutras, it says that as long as the roots of virtue are not completely perfected, one will not attain realization of sublime emptiness. Therefore, it is important to engage as much as you can from the heart, not just going through the motions, but from the heart, this mandala offering. Then at the end of the session, dissolve the field of accumulation that is in front of you. Guru Vajradhara, Idam Chakasambhara, all the other Idams, the lineage gurus, all of them, Buddhas of this fortunate eon, the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon, all the dharmas that the Buddha taught, the noble sanghas, the 8 great bodhisattvas, the 10 great disciples, all of them. Dissolve into light. That light is absorbed into you. Now rest in the profound meaning of inseparability between you and the subject making the offerings, the objects in which you offer to, and the offering itself. All three are inseparable. Then reflect on all our mothers, recollecting their kindness, recollecting how we have received kindness. We have been on the receiving end of kindness, of love from all beings, and therefore we radiate with loving kindness towards all beings, wishing them happiness and the causes of happiness. Then recollecting, thinking of all the suffering that exists in the world exists because our mothers, without choice, involved in creating suffering and the causes of suffering, and how we wish them to be free from this suffering. Suffering that they have created for others, suffering that they have created for ourselves, suffering that we have created for ourselves, suffering we have created for others. Think about how nobody wants any of this, and yet habitually we engage in it, and that is how stuck we are, and therefore wishing us to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering is cultivating karuna or compassion for all other sentient beings. Then recognizing that the only real freedom is the freedom of Buddhahood, whereby both ourselves and others become objects of our wish for freedom and complete liberation. Therefore, we make the vow, make the resolve to attain the state of Buddha, freedom from all confusion, from all afflictive emotions, from all suffering. We make this vow to achieve the state of Buddha for the benefit of all beings, and we also make the vow of always engaging in, always practicing what it takes to achieve that state of Buddha. And in this way, both aspiration and action bodhicitta vow has become one and has arisen in you. And from now onwards, you are in the Buddha family. Even if you temporarily forget or temporarily give up due to conditions, know that in the deepest level it cannot be given up, because on the deepest level, the very innate bodhicitta is our Buddha mind. So even if it seems like we have given up on it, from the perspective of ultimate bodhicitta, it is not possible to give up bodhicitta. Now this great mind, this bodhi mind, in the next part will arise, will appear as idam. Idam sometimes have been given the etymology of yi is mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and that's yi. Dam is to bind, is to put under protection. So idam is that which protects thoughts, that which protects the mind, that which protects the feelings. By transforming mind, transforming thoughts, transforming feelings, transforming body, speech, and mind into that of an awakened being, a idam. Now, cultivating the idam deity. So I've spoken a little bit about this. Then on many other occasions, I'm sure you have also heard about various aspects of idam practice. Before we look closely at this text, let's see if you have any questions or comments in general about what we have covered so far, or more specifically regarding that kind of more general things related to the practice, this next practice of idam. If you have questions, please, feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
I have a question. When we're doing our practice, I find sometimes I don't have as much time as I would like to in a particular session, and I feel like if I start with the beginning and go through, I just don't have time. Can I pick out parts of the practice and do them just kind of alone for a while, or?
Yes, which is what we have been doing, and I'm trying to give everyone a sense of what kind of rhythm you can set. Yeah, some days we just do the laying aside text, some days we, focus on this, some days we focus on that. And so exactly what is the right proportions, all that is very dynamic. And through time, through this daily, if you notice, there is a certain, I'm not saying, I have struck the right balance, but each of us, will come up over time from experience, different proportions. And I also believe that when you start to listen more carefully, listen not in a neurotic way, but just, pay attention to your path, to your process, you will know, oh, today I mostly should do Vajrasattva. Or today, mostly bodhicitta. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not saying, like this every day, I know what you need, but I'm demonstrating the process as it unfolds for me, since I'm the one leading the practice. So then I choose, this, but there's a certain flow to it.
Hi, Genla. Good morning.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to recite the syllable humpe?
Hmm?
What does it mean to recite
To recite what?
the humpe at the end of the Vajrasattva mantra?
Oh, Hongpe. It's not in the Vajrasattva mantra that we have here. There are several different.
I remember
forms.
you mentioned that. But
Yeah, there are several different.
in what context?
There are several different forms of this mantra, given in different tantras, basically. So in the Heruka Vajrasattva mantra, found in certain Jagasamvara related texts, it includes Hongpe, but that's not what we do here, that's all. Any other questions? And so last time we met, last week, remember I mentioned, there are two, and this is not explicitly explained, at least I've not come across, in Tibetan writings, in the teachings of the Lamas. It's not explicitly addressed. I think this is something that we have to kind of pay attention and kind of understand and draw some lessons from. Remember last week I talked about how we say, for this practice or that practice, the idam is this or that. So this word idam, it means your chosen deity. It's a Tibetan translation of Sanskrit called Ishta Devata. Ishta Devata, say for Hindus today, there's a very common word among Hindus. Ishta Devata means my chosen deity. Chosen in what sense? Well, because in Hindu religion, the divine God, goddess, the divine principle manifest in 330 million ways, forms. And so out of those, there's this notion that out of those, you can choose the one that you connect with best, and then kind of connect with the divine that way. So there are some similarities, obviously, with the way we think about idams. There are so many different Buddhas, and these different Buddhas appearing in different forms, some peaceful, some wrathful, one face, many faces, two hands, many hands. Even in one case, only one eye, one leg, one hand. So there are, so in that same way, Ishta Devata is the deity that you have chosen to be your own. And that, of course, comes with it the notion of karmic connection. And that is the Ishta Devata, the idam that you feel naturally attracted to. Sometimes you can be quite, you know why, and sometimes you don't even know. I know people, who now in their 70s or 80s, will tell me that, when they were very young, people like in the West, when they were very young, they remember not feeling at all quite at home, with images of like Jesus or Mary, like the common religious symbols in the world that they grew up in. And then an uncle or a grandparent at their home has a statue or a picture of a Buddha that they picked up while they were traveling or while they were posted in Asia, part of military or something. And this person saw that, and immediately, there's an attraction. So that's a way of knowing, that's your idam. Whether it's Buddha, the kind of classical image of a Buddha, idam. So that can be idam. And that's the heartfelt connection of idam. And sometimes these have stories of these idams, like mythologies, if you want to call it that. Avalokiteshvara, Tara tends to be more full-bodied, so to say. And there's emotional content. Then I said, then there's another type of idam, and this particularly is related to idams that come from that class of Tantra called highest Yoga Tantra. So then, who are we talking about? These are deities like Vajakilaya, Vajavarahi, Nairatmya, and so on and so forth. Hevaja, and in our case, Heruka Chakasamvara. These idams, actually, I said last week, they're kind of flat emotionally. They are not necessarily, despite what the texts say, I'm just being honest, they're not necessarily forms of deity that you have devotion for in the same way that one may have for Avalokiteshvara, Kuan Yin, Tara, So I gave the example, historical example. Kyoba Jigden Sumgun fondly speaks of Avalokiteshvara as his idam, his lifesaver. Because when he was doing retreat and he contracted leprosy, he almost died. And in the pangs of like near death, last thing he thought he should do was get up and make a prostration to Avalokiteshvara before he died this lifetime. He said, at least if I die like that, maybe this is not all wasted. And so you can sense, the kind of like rich emotion that is there. However, when he was practicing creation stage, highest Yoga Tantra, it's also clear he was training with Chakasamvara. Either the male aspect of Chakasamvara or the female aspect called Vajavarahi. So whenever he was doing 6 yogas of Naropa types of practices, the idam was Vajavarahi. Same. I gave the example of, in our own time, Kyabje Gajen Rinpoche. Again and again he will say, oh, white Tara is my idam, white Tara is my idam. That's the motherly figure that he's connected to. But when he is in retreat doing the intense work of transforming this body and mind and speech, the technique used is most likely because That's the type of retreats that Rinpoche hosts, leads, anchors, is Yamantaka, the wrathful Manjushri deity. The most, the most like sought out tickets at Gachen Institute annually. Kind of mini Taylor Swift events, People used to wake up in the middle of the night, to hit the subscribe button to try to get a spot. But now they do it by lottery. Too many people have stress over getting a spot for the 10-day Yamantaka. And yeah, Yamantaka, I mean, there's some basic story, and there's some basic story about Chakasamvara, but when they practice these, they don't. I dare say, when you look at how it's described, there isn't a lot of like emotional. And for me, I think in some ways it's because this notion of cultivate is even stronger in these highest yoga tantra deities. You are to cultivate them. So your emotional content of devotion, of inspiration, I can be Buddha, you take that from, say, Buddha Shakyamuni, if that is your idam, which I think many of us, maybe that's really our idam. But some of us, we say, oh, Tara really speaks to me. And that's your idam. So to be inspired, you take from there. And then you put into Chakasamvara. Because you're building up, and each aspect of Chakasamvara is related to principles in a more direct way. Yes, of course, you can also explain Chenrezig, 4 arms of Chenrezig, the 4 immeasurables. On this arm holding a mala, it means this. On that, but limited insofar as matching the aggregates, matching the senses, matching the realm of this, the object of the sense organs. All these very detailed things of how to use these aspects of the deity with his mandalas. That's why they say the most extensive, highest yoga tantra system of training is Kala Chakra. Because in the Kala Chakra mandala, there are 700 over deities. And every aspect of those deities are related to part of this psyche. And you build that, you keep building. Right? So you bring these 2 senses of idam together. And so at the end of the day, this is also why we say this is not a theistic tradition, despite the outer appearances. So when you see Chakasamvara, it's not necessarily devotion in the first sense of idam devotion. In fact, to add to this, for many of Tibetans, Bhutanese, until recently, I think maybe even now it's changing, that real strong devotion is given in the direction of the human guru. Maybe hard for some of us, or many of us, but the real kind of strong emotional feeling is towards the human guru. And there are also Tibetans who, in their lives, you don't see a very strong human guru figure in their lives. In fact, some of these great masters, like I was just reminded in one teaching, I think Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche said, if you look at the example of Jigme Lingpa, one of the greatest Nyingma masters of more recent times, He said that Jigme Lingpa, although he had human teachers, obviously, but his strongest kind of feeling of devotion was towards a figure that lived many centuries before him, a guru many centuries before him in the 14th, 13th century, maybe, or 11? No, 13. Longchenpa. So Jigme Lingpa had strong devotion to Longchenpa. So then, as guru, then Longchenpa eventually, Jigme Lingpa had direct vision of Longchenpa, and Longchenpa instructed Jigme Lingpa. And so Gyoba Rinpoche also says, you have to choose guru very carefully. And if you have no conviction yet that this or that human person right now is guru, then you direct your guru devotion to a historical guru. But the historical guru, like Milarepa, like Jigten Sumgun, like Guru Rinpoche, they're not gone, They exist. Their wisdom mind. At the very least, their wisdom mind is available. But if you have your wisdom mind and you can transform your vision, your pure vision, then you can even see them. Yes. So this whole kind of process it's a composite of many elements. But they do say, if you have this strong devotion to guru, whether it's a human guru now, here, and you have no doubts about or, a historical guru that functions like that for you, then Heruka Chakasamvara. Who is Heruka Chakasamvara? You don't need further stories. He is my guru, appearing in this form so that I can train to be like him, like her. Now, our text. By reciting Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddho Hang. And this is one of the most common beginning of all Idam practice. When you recite this mantra, this is called the Shuddha mantra. Shuddha or Shuddho means pure, pristine. So by reciting this mantra of purity, think that all phenomena are by nature completely pure, completely pristine. And what is this complete pristine nature, complete pure nature? None other than the emptiness of apprehended and apprehender. In other words, the emptiness of subject and object. In other words, not that subject and object don't exist, but subject don't exist independent of object, and object don't exist independent of subject. That the experience of subject and object is an experience that arises co-emergent simultaneously, subject and object. The emptiness of that is not the non-existence of that, because on the level of experience, exists for sure. But what is the nature of that existence? What is the nature of that experience is what we forget. Not only forget, but we misunderstand, we misconstrue. So we look at a screen where stories, movies, drama is happening, completely not understanding that the screen that we're looking at, right? What is projected on the screen is actually projected from a projector. That what you like that turns up on the screen, what you don't like that turns up on the screen, came from the projector. Now, this analogy breaks down because unlike normal projector and what is projected on the screen, in our case, what is projected on the screen in turn begins to modify what the projector projects. The analogy of projector and screen, normal projectors that you and I use, completely the control of the projector. But in terms of how we experience subject-object, if you want to start from somewhere, you say, the subject is creating the object. But then the object that is created in turn acts and begins to shape the subject that is creating the object. Understanding the emptiness of subject and object is understanding that this relationship exists. And therefore, neither subject nor object exist independently. They exist dependently. And this is the completely pristine nature. So we begin deity yoga. The basis of practicing deity yoga is first checking in with, realizing, or at least checking in with the truth of emptiness. Meaning of Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddhohang. The kind of, without going word by word, it is to remind us of the completely pristine, or in other words, the emptiness of subject and object. And not only that, according to our text here, it's only mind. Where is all of this happening? All of this is happening because we have mind. So, not only the emptiness aspect of mind, but the knowing aspect of mind, we should recollect here. That our nature is not only empty of subject and object as independently existing things, but rather interdependently arising, existing, and ceasing phenomena. But also there is this ability, this power to know. And so only mind. In this text, it says, also recite Om Shunyata Jnana Vajraswabhava Atma Koahang. And there, you cultivate this understanding that all phenomena are emptiness, free from the extremes of conceptual elaborations. In later deity texts, one or the other of these mantras is usually recited. Usually not both. So you can think of this as either one of these mantras you can choose as the basis of cultivating an understanding of the dependent nature of appearances, of phenomena, and also more importantly, mind. And mind is without separation of subject and object, but mind has the capacity to arise in that way. Mind is not ultimately bifurcated into subject and object, but due to conditions, temporarily, momentarily manifest like that. This is called elsewhere meditating on Dharmakaya, cultivating Dharmakaya. So tomorrow, I will. There is a later commentary on this 14th century text. In the 16th century, Gyalwang Gunga Rinchen, the 16th throne holder, and this is the 11th throne holder, the 16th throne holder in the 16th century, wrote a commentary to clarify some of the points here. And so there he explains, shows us how the whole process of arising from this emptiness. So first you meditate on emptiness with this mantra, and this is called the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu. Then from this wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu, the next image that you're working with is related to another wisdom, and altogether the 5 Buddha wisdoms is what you're cultivating as you're working with these images. And this is called arising through the 5 awakenings as well. And so we'll learn more about that this week. Yes, there's a question.
This is quick. Are not these 2 mantras basically saying the same thing?
Yes and no.
But if the second one is all phenomena, any phenomena we think about is a projection.
Yes.
And there's a relationship subject-object,
yes.
like the first.
Correct.
So that's how it's the same.
Yes.
But how is it different?
Never mind. Never mind.
Okay.
Yes, all of you have to continue to ask, because you don't yet know where it minds and where it never minds. So it's a good question. Never mind. In the later 16th century text, Gyalwang Gunga Rinchen takes out one of this and say, just do one. So in that sense, it's the same. But when you want to talk about difference, there's also difference to talk about. Yeah, difference not in the difference of contradiction, difference, emphasis. So many aspects of the Dharmakaya that we have to cultivate, right? So how can it be exhausted by just one way? But do we need to know all of them now? No. Start with one. So here, if you follow our text, it says both or choose one. Whatever your level, your capacity to digest, choose that. Okay. Chanchu sem cho rinpoche ma ge pa nam ge gyu je ge pa nyam pa me pa yang gong ne gong du pe war show. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise, where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. So this is the Bodhicitta dedication that in our opening and dedication text is on page 27. I have a few times now encouraged that you also memorize the English, of course, so that you understand what you say. Then also memorize the Tibetan, because there's a beautiful chant, and a lot of times we chant this together. So I will see all of you tomorrow. If you have more leisure and time, some of you do, then today, again, go over what we did today and do the practice to whatever rhythm and proportions that make sense to you, feels like what you need, do that. Ta-ta.